Welcome. This is going to be our first episode of the Escape Comfort Outdoors podcast. We're going to see what this evolves into, but John and I are going to start off here today by having a discussion, and that discussion really is going to start off talking about getting involved in outdoor activity and being active and our personal journeys in that. We'll just see where that conversation leads us. This is our first time that we're taking a shot at this, so definitely going to continue to evolve and grow over time. But let's dive in. So, John, I'll start off asking you some questions. So, I know that our life stories are a little bit different, right? In terms of our
Yeah,
our health journey and fitness journey and so forth. But you've been active in sports basically your entire life, right?
yeah, the whole life, I mean, I grew up in the mountains out in Montana. I played sports from basically age 3, when you're able to walk around and look like a dork with a bunch of other little kids on a field. I was out there. I was one of those dorks. And yeah, I mean, I'm 29 now and I still currently play sports at, various levels, depends on where in the country we're living for the wife's school and whatnot. But yeah, I've been, pretty active. Obviously I've had my ups and downs in terms of my health and wellness, but the sports aspect of things has really kind of kept everything in check, never allowed anything to get too far gone. And it's been a blessing, and it's why I'm still doing it today. It's something that it's part of me, like being able to go and do these things and spend days outside and with some of my favorite people. It's something that's going to be really tough to give up someday, and so I'm trying to hang on to that little piece of it as long as I can.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, you primarily play rugby, right?
Yeah, rugby's my sport. I've been kind of committed to since I was, really, I've kind of done it pretty much alone since I turned 18. Went to college and played rugby in college, in Central Washington, pretty close to where I live now, actually. And just kind of gone through the ranks and sort of worked my way up. I'm currently wearing a team I used to kind of train with and play with, the NOLA Gold. They're playing today, and so wanted to wear this to support the boys. Yeah, I played football, played basketball, did a little soccer, wrestling, but for the most part, rugby's been kind of my go-to thing for half of my life, and so it's been nothing short of a blessing to be able to see other people grow in this sport, also share the sport with other people. And because there's so much more to it than just, hey, let's go out there and not wear pads and throw a ball around. There's a lot more to it that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm sure you know that through your cycling team and stuff like that, right? It's not just we go out there and we play and it's over. There's a whole community to it and a whole something beyond just the game itself. And that's what's really kept me around all these years.
Yeah, any group sport activity, or outdoor activity in most instances, there's a community around all that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
It's huge to be a part of that. So thinking about your rugby engagements that you've had, we'll call it, you've gotten to do some pretty cool stuff. So you've had some pretty cool trips. Bermuda, right?
Yeah, well,
You've
actually, our boys are in Bermuda right now, currently, playing rugby. Our U23 team. So I was actually supposed to be going there to coach for that. Unfortunately, that didn't work out super well. Had some other obligations I had to go to. Got a buddy's wedding I'm going to this weekend, and so, but the boys are there. They're in the semifinals here in a couple hours. So I mean, it's awesome to see what we've built. This jockeys team that I help run and play for. I'll provide these opportunities and these ways that guys can travel all over the world without having to fork out a bunch of money out of their own pocket. We fundraise, we win, too, and winning, brings a culture to it. People want to be around that, and people want to support that. People want to say, hey, how do I get my name in the bag there? And so we're able to provide those opportunities and let these either young kids or older guys who've put in work, like kind of like myself. I've been committing a large amount of my life to rugby, and so to see it kind of all come to fruition, allow me to travel around the world a lot and help provide opportunities for the next generation coming up behind me, is awesome, man. It's I mean, what else would I rather do other than spend time with some of my favorite people 6,000 miles from home in a place we've never been, and we get to explore and we get to go and do the thing that we love. And so it's just one of those many outdoor activities, man, that I would love to be able to show people and bring people into that community, whether it's the rugby community or any other, outdoor activity that I do, because there's a million other things. But I just, yeah, the pros versus the cons. I mean, really, the con is what? Hard work. That's about the only con that comes with all that stuff. And so, um, the more people we can get in front of these types of activities and these types of I wouldn't even call them activities, call them opportunities, because it's so much. You're getting so much more out of that, than you think you are. And so I think that everybody should just give that thing, whatever that thing is, a shot. And that's what we're kind of here for. We're hoping to do here is pair someone with whatever that thing is that they don't know that they love yet, and get them to be doing, get them into it, get them involved in it, get them knowing the people that enjoy doing it, getting to know the leaders in those communities, right? I'd like to look at myself as somewhat of a leader in the rugby community, not by saying I'm a fantastic, unbelievable player, but that I've done a lot of things. I kind of know how to approach, like, okay, what's your goal? What are you trying to do with this? Okay, cool. Let's find a way to help you get there, right? And if, your thing was, cycling, if your thing was running, all those types of things, right? I would look to the leaders in those communities to try to, piece together the best plan of attack for someone that's trying to get involved in something like that.
Continuing down the path of some of your background, so you've gotten more involved and active in hiking. At this point, you're hiking almost every
Yeah,
day.
so
Is that
I
right?
I been avid in the mountains pretty much my whole life. Grew up in the mountains, so like my backyard was walking out into the woods and hiking around and building stuff, and eventually kind of grew into hunting and fishing and all that with my family and my father. Um, Now, I mean, whew, I mean, you and I met at a pretty cool hiking event, and sort of before that, but since that moment, I've been pretty much spending as often as I can out in the mountains. Luckily I live in a place up in Washington State that's surrounded by beautiful, beautiful things, mountains, hills, you name it, we got it here. And so, I luckily with my career as a strength and conditioning coach and a sports performance coach, I sort of have control over my own schedule, for the most part. And so I have a pretty good open chunk right in the middle of the day, that allows me to grab my pups and go to one of the local mountains around here and spend, whether it's 45 minutes or 2 hours, 3 hours, depends on the day. So pups are happy. They get to travel with me and come out and run around. Obviously that's their favorite thing in the world. I'm getting good activity out of it, whether it's hiking with a backpack on. I've actually recently been starting to jog as much as I can on the trails that I've been walking on. So obviously I'm not bringing much of a pack for that, but actually been pushing myself a little bit and starting to get as many miles in as I can, jogging up and down the mountains and whatnot. And it's been a great challenge, like super hard for me. Um, Hiking that hike's pretty hard, so jogging it's been a good challenge. And yeah, I'm just thankful that I get to be outside every day, especially as the weather starts to warm up. It was 66 degrees yesterday, which is pretty rare in March up in the Northwest. So taking advantage of it, trying to get out every day if possible.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Um, so, and you bring
As
your wife
often as
too, right?
possible. Yeah, she's on spring break right now, so she's coming with
Yeah.
me on all my hikes and whatnot. Um, when she's in school, obviously it's a little harder to make happen, but we found a couple of spots real close to the house that's a 5-minute drive away that we can go out and at least spend 20 minutes out in the sun and making sure that we're getting all the stuff that we need to get in to feel good the rest of the day. Like we're not just doing it just for the exercise. It's good to breathe the fresh air out there. It's good to be in the sunshine. It's good to spend time with my wife, right? Like it's nice. It's time that we don't always get. And so, it's 20 minutes of the day where I can be like, hey, it's just you and me. Let's go do this thing. Let's go walk around, pick up a few pieces of garbage while we're walking, get some exercise, get some sunshine. We get to hang out together. And so it's just kind of like that little section of the day where it's like a guaranteed amount of time that I get to see her and spend with her, where we're not working on our laptops and getting ready for bed and all that kind of stuff. So I mean that's probably the best thing that's came out of me doing this every day is the occasional time where she gets to go with me and I'm just like, cool, it's just our time. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's where I was going to go with it, right? Outdoor activity, and activity in general, but particularly when you're going outdoors, you're going on a hike, you're going, pick your activity, going for a bike ride, going
Very picking.
for a run, whatever it is, right? No matter what it is, that's time, like you said, it's away from a screen, it's away from being inundated by social media, and we all do it, but it's time away where you're actually being able to connect with an individual one to one, and actually enjoy your time together and build a stronger relationship, right? That's
Yeah,
really what it
dude.
comes down to, is that
Yeah, you're just
strengthening
being
that
present,
relationship.
right? You're not distracted, and every day, and I'm not saying any one in particular because I'm the same exact way. But having the TV on in the background or always listening to a podcast while you're cooking or whatever. And sometimes it's just good to turn the knob down to zero and just not have that in the background and just not be distracted all the time, right? And it allows you to be more present. I find that we ask each other our best questions, when we're out and about walking around, right? And there's a lot to be said about your mental health with that too. My mom, she does she's a therapist and has talked a lot about like that ability to be able to do something physical, whether it's hard or not, whether it's throwing a ball, whether it's going for a walk, and being able to kind of reshuffle the brain in a way to take things that may have been could be trauma, it could be stress, it could be just something you want to get off your chest, right? And allowing yourself to talk about those things while you're out and about, which people tend to do, it kind of reshuffles that brain to a place where it kind of stores those things as no longer stressful, bothersome things. You're allowed to talk about it. You're out in the open. You get those things out of the way, and so you tend to cross a lot of hills while you're out and about. If that pun wasn't meant to be a pun, but you really you come over the mountain and you're coming out as a better, less stressed, less bothered individual. And it's been great for our
Yeah,
relationship
for
for
sure.
sure.
Yeah, one of the most therapeutic things, which in this day and age is funny, right? Because we're blessed with having access to so much knowledge and technology, and things that make our lives easier and simpler,
Right.
ideally, right? Easier and simpler and better. Um, but one of the most therapeutic things is to get yourself off the grid and spend even a day, but a weekend, a week off the grid, and like, I don't even have cell phone
Right.
signal if I want it.
There's
Like,
there's
it's
no
just
better
it's just not
feeling
there.
than there's nothing I could do about it if I wanted to, right? Like
Yep.
when talking about the right thing, of course, yeah, I don't want to, anything negative, you don't want to think about that. But like all the stuff that could bother you at work, the stuff that could bother you in life, it's just like doesn't matter right now, right? You can choose to stress over it out here if you want, but you're gonna get a lot less out of this trip and nothing's gonna really change, right? So when we go out, we're just like, you know what, let's turn it to airplane mode, use your phone for your camera, take cool pictures, do what you want to do, but there's nothing you could do about it if you wanted to do about it, if you wanted to do it. So like let's just be here, be present and enjoy where you're at.
Yeah, and I think for me, um, one of the things that I've enjoyed about outdoor activity is being able to take on difficult things, and tackle difficult challenges, and that difficulty is the thing that really causes me to disconnect from the rest of the world. Right? I can't be worried about some email that I got from work yesterday when I'm currently all in, riding as hard as I can, trying to keep
Yeah.
up with these guys, and they're flying, and all I'm thinking about at that moment is stay with them and
Yeah.
pedal as hard as I can. And that's my cycling analogy, but same thing. I'm out hiking, and I've got this tricky thing that I'm trying to figure out, and I'm making sure I don't
Right.
kill
Right.
myself. Well, I'm not thinking
Right.
about that email.
I
That's the
think that
least of my worries at that
the
point.
kind of pull away from all that stuff, having to focus on what's happening to you in that moment is huge. I also think that by tackling those difficult things and those hard things aren't so hard anymore, right? Like, I mean, it's the same reason we go to the gym and we exercise. Some people do it for the way they want to look, which nothing wrong with that. We all train a little bit for wanting to stay in shape and be healthy and look good. Um, but once you like, I train at 6 a.m. almost every day, and so for me, once I get that out of the way, the rest of the day is cake. It's a breeze, dude. There's nothing hard in the rest of my day that I can compare to how hard I just worked at 6 a.m. Right. And so doing these types of trips, like you said, those long distance backpacking trips, even cycling to me sounds so hard. I've done a spin class and feel like I'm going to die. But tackling those hard things, it makes your threshold for what's actually difficult massively increase, right? And so like what was hard for me 15 years ago is not hard for me anymore, right? Like when 15 years ago working a 16-hour day, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine something like that, right? Now, hard for me is, okay, instead of hiking this mountain, run this mountain, and just whether it's a physical thing, whether it's just in my everyday life difficult, right? Like, oh, I have to go to work again today. So you used to work 16-hour days on a fishing boat in Alaska 7 days a week. This isn't hard anymore, right? Like working long days, it's not that, and of course it sucks. And, I'm not trying to take away from the fact that a 16-hour workday sucks and some people have to do that and that's terrible. Um, but occasionally in my career, it happens, right? I work from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then I've got to come back and work 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and so throughout the course of the day, I'm getting 14 hours in right there. But again, I'm going on that hike in the middle of the day. That brings my mood, my energy levels back up. I make sure I'm fueling the right way. And I can turn what would have been a miserable 14 or 16-hour day into a fantastic day where I got to help a lot of people, where I got to go out and spend time with my wife and my dogs, where I got to eat some really delicious food because just because you're eating healthy doesn't mean it ain't got to be good. And then I get to go back to work and I get to help more people, right? And it's like makes it a lot easier when you don't hate your job, but you know, I think that that's probably the best thing that I've gotten out of all these difficult things that we tend to endeavor for out in the wilderness, whether it's a sport, whether it's hiking, whether it's swimming, anything, is your threshold for difficult things tends to go up, right? You can push the mindset and motivation like you would a muscle, right? Like if you push it and you train it often and you push those thresholds, it gets stronger, it increases, right? And it's like, man, it was pretty hard to turn it off after that, right? Like after learning, oh, I can push myself harder and harder and harder, and my ability to push myself will continue to rise like it would a muscle would grow. Say less, say less. I'm going to push myself as hard as I possibly can, so that life in a general sense becomes easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You know, and you hinted on, well, we hinted on it at the beginning. My background in terms of health and fitness, not so great. Um, Started off very unhealthy. Through high school, I was healthy-ish. I participated in some sports and did marching band, and I was active. And then, start going heading into my senior year, started adding a little bit of weight. Got to college, and it just went downhill real
I
fast,
can't imagine where I
real
would have been
fast.
without rugby in college,
Um,
dude. It would have been a disaster.
yes, you would have been like me, man. You would have, so I gained probably, let's see, I probably weighed like 160, 165 in high school at one point. I was 180 in eighth
Nice.
grade,
Big dog, big
and then
dog.
and then big dog, and then I lost weight heading into high school. So sophomore junior year, I was probably like 160, 165, um, and then started putting the weight on. By the time I was in college, I was up over 200. And I'm not very
Should have
big.
played
I'm
rugby,
five
bro.
foot eight.
Five
I'm
eight
not
two
a
hundred. That sounds like a
I'm
rugby
not a
guy.
big guy. Well, yeah. Well, it was 200 with zero muscle mass. That was the problem, right? And then, after that, I was working retail and just eating junk and not doing any activity at all. Like I wasn't going and hiking. I wasn't going biking. Like none of that sort of thing was in
Yeah.
my life at that time. Um, and so I went up to 240.
That's my biggest. I'm 6'2", so a little
Again,
different, but 240 was where I was at my biggest.
yeah, and 0%
Yeah.
muscle mass. I'm pretty
I
sure.
was
Pretty
training,
sure it
but
was
I was
zero.
eating anything I wanted.
Um,
No cardio, no nothing, just lifting weights. That's it.
yeah, yeah. So it was a
Yeah.
big shift for me. But in that shift, first off, if I can do it, anyone else can do it because I was lazy and fat and didn't
Yep.
want to do anything. And one day found cycling, and you know that flipped the switch for me, and it's helped me connect to other outdoor activities. But to your point, one of the most difficult things that I've ever done is I did a race in 2019. It's a gravel race out in Emporia, Kansas. It used to be called Dirty Kansas. They've renamed it to Unbound. But I did the shortest version. It was only 100 miles.
100 miles, man. Come on, dude.
100 miles. So, and that year in particular is on record for being one of the hottest years they've ever had. So this race is early June.
Oof.
The temperatures were in the 90s. And in Kansas, there's no
Nothing.
shade.
Yeah,
Shade
nope.
doesn't exist. You just get hammered by that sun. So it was hot. It was dusty. We were riding really fast. We came out of the gates at like 30 miles per hour on gravel roads, and held that for a long time until I decided that, like, there was all sorts of movements going on in the peloton that just made me feel uncomfortable, and I was like, I'd like to not crash. So I backed off a little bit, let the front pack go. Let's see, how far in was that? Like mile 20 to 25, somewhere in there. And then from that point on, I had little groups here and there, but it was basically 75, 80 miles of
By
70.
yourself. Wow.
By yourself.
You learn a
90
lot about
degrees,
you learn a lot about yourself in a moment
sunshine.
like that, dude.
Absolutely. And to your point, it's a whole, when something strange comes up or something difficult comes up these days, I'm like, I made it through
Yeah.
that. Right. And there's people taking on more difficult things than that, bigger challenges than that. But at that point in my life, from where I had come, that was a huge evolution for me, and it helped me really reframe what
Oh
difficult
yeah.
truly
So
is.
I gotta ask. So did you start riding when you were still 240?
I had dropped a little bit by the time I started riding. Well, that's a lie. No, yeah. I was about 240 when so I was working at a bank, and they sponsored an event called Pelotonia, which is a great event down in Columbus,
Go
Ohio,
Bucks.
that raises money for Go Bucks. It raises money for
Cool.
cancer research for the James Institute for Cancer Research, which is an awesome cause, obviously. And I got coerced to go and do this event, right? And so, coerced is maybe a strong word, but I wound up committing to going and doing this event. I didn't know what I was doing or signing up for. I was like, there's all these distances. It goes up to like 120 miles or something like that. And then there's shorter ones. There's like a 20 mile, let's do the 40. 40 should be fine. And so I registered for the 40 mile ride, I guess. And I did that at like
Wow.
240 pounds on on a Walmart
Wow,
bike,
dude.
mind you. It was not good. I only wound up riding 30 some miles of it, and what wound up happening is I wound up getting a flat, which by and large normally not a
Right.
big deal, right? On a Walmart bike, it's a big deal because most bikes, either you have a through axle, so the axle goes all the way through and you just spin it
Yeah.
and it locks in, or it's a quick release where you like
Yeah.
pop it and it falls off. That bike
Oh,
had bolts
you're
holding
having
the wheel on.
that ain't happening.
Right. And so when you do an event like that, they have what they call SAG, which is uh, you know volunteers that will go out and they'll come and help fix issues or whatever. And so they called the SAG to come out and help me. And he pulled up. He's like, I got nothing. I can't do
Damn.
anything for you, because he didn't have
Right.
ratchets or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
That's not the sort of thing that you
Right.
pack for that sort of event. So, but yeah, no, I was about 240 when I did that, and that was that event was the thing that I afterwards I went, I kind of like that. I kind of enjoyed that.
Probably didn't think you were
I
gonna
could be
love it,
wrong.
bro. Probably
It's
didn't think
hard.
you were gonna love it. Came into it thinking this is gonna suck. I'm
No.
gonna get through this. I'm gonna get done and it'll be over. I won't have to do this ever again. And now I see you
Yep.
constantly riding, which is pretty epic to see. And coming up on
Absolutely.
my ability to deadlift, so I'm gonna have to start stepping it up a little bit.
Hey, just trying to do what I can.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool that you're able to, find something that probably nobody else that's sitting at that kind of like body weight, body fat percentage, would probably ever think about doing, right? And much less making it their thing after they do it, right? And I've heard plenty of people, that have found their thing that they love, and it's the thing that's gotten them to, kind of have a why, right? You can have your family whys, for my wife, my kids, that sort of thing, right? Which are almost always the best whys, but at some point you got to find some sort of why that's for you, right? Like for you that you can enjoy, that you do it because it's something you like, it's something that you want to continue doing, not, oh, I'm doing this to get in shape so that I can, do this and this, right? Like our goal here is to not only get you in something that's going to get you feeling good, looking good, all these types of things, but something that when you do it, you're happy, you're doing that thing that brings you peace, and something that you're not going to get burnt out doing because it's something you love, right? Not something you have to do, right? We need to start adding things to our day that's going to be, like you said with my hikes, right? Like I make a point to do this every day, not because it's super good for me, right? But because I love doing it, right? And it just so happens that it's really good for me and good for my dogs and, et cetera, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of awesome that you wind up getting this compounding effect, right? I enjoy doing it. It's good for me. It builds my community. It builds my connections with folks. It's making me healthier, right? Like all those things start compounding.
Well, it's
it's a
a, it's a,
powerful
it's
thing.
it's
It's a
amazing,
super
and
powerful thing.
it's what's going to kind of get you to that next level, if that makes sense, right? Like it's and that doesn't, I'm not saying next level as in, you're going to be a professional athlete per se, or you're going to be, Mr. Eight Pack, or, whatever it is, but it's, you can't look me in the face and tell me that being outside, getting exercise, and I mean, in our case, at least, like with the trash cleanup and whatnot, improving the place that we're at isn't going to bring a boatload of positive benefits to your life. Whether like I did the responsible stewardship cleanup in October, I got like $2,000 worth of camping equipment, ultralight backpacking equipment, and a national park pass, um, for cleaning up as much trash as we did in that month. And we do that. We try to do that every time we go somewhere, right? Pick some stuff up, right? Leave it better than you found it, right? And we've come to a lot of places that now we've visited these places enough to where it's beautiful to go there, right? It's not, oh, we got a bunch of, there's a bunch of trash everywhere, right? Now we've picked up all that trash, right? And I think that we've also had other people
Yeah.
seeing us do this that have also tried to do the same thing. And so it's compounding effect, like you said, right? We started cleaning up trash in this place or in these places. Other people see us doing it. They're doing the same thing. And now we didn't have to clean it all up. We did it as a community. And now it's kick ass to be there and go on these places and be like, I can't believe we have access to this. I can't believe we get to come here and use it like our backyard, and have it look the way it does. Like it's pretty amazing to have that culture around. And um, yeah, it breeds for a much better community too when everybody there is like it's happy, it's beautiful, like we enjoy being here, it's not a dump, all these types of stuff. And I mean, I've had people come and help. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, there was 56 tires in this field, so I'm going and grabbing them and laying them along the road, and we're gonna go recycle them. Oh, cool. Well, I got a four-wheeler. Let me help you real quick, right? This guy Todd came in and zipped up the last 8 tires that we cleaned up on a four-wheeler, and I'm like, well, that's way better than carrying those tires 200 yards each, right? Like it's just cool. And now I see,
It's
yeah,
almost as you
well,
work
yeah,
on
that day was something special, dude. You can go back and check out. I'll be sure to put that up on our Instagram page at some point, the cleanup day, because that was pretty unbelievable. And it was just you'd never know driving by the side of the road, you'd never know they were there. And then all I did was I saw one, so I walked out in this field, and then I saw the graveyard, and I was like, oh man, hey, you said you were going to clean it up. Let's clean it up. And now that place, that's over by one of the military areas in our spot. But now it's like a spot that's like this beautiful area that's not a tire graveyard now, and has a bunch of hiking trails on it. Right. At first, people just thought it was a dumping zone, so nobody used it. And now people are riding their mountain bikes back there and doing all that stuff. It's just kind of cool to see, right? Like you're opening up new opportunities for other people to go new places and discover new things.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. So why don't we take a detour here and let's talk about what we're trying to do with Escape Comfort Outdoors. Let's do a little intro for folks on what it is that we're trying to accomplish and what the
Let's
organization
go.
is there for, um, and talk through that. So um, we started on this journey of kind of forming Escape Comfort Outdoors. What,
Yeah.
mid last year? We
Well, yeah, a
started having
little
these
after the summer.
conversations. Yeah, yeah. And so the idea was is we wanted to help influence and inspire people to get outside and get active, to be healthy, and to try different things. And that's really where the whole idea of this organization started. So heading through the fall, we had a lot of conversations around what that actually means and how we're actually going to accomplish that. And it's still continuing to grow and evolve, right? Um, but kind of where we landed was uh, to try and tackle a few things here. Number one, we're planning on hosting some events. Um, First off, some community events that are free for people to be able to join and just show up and do whatever it is that we have on the docket. So, and we'll post what those are. You know, some instances they'll be hiking. Sometimes maybe it's kayaking or name the activity. We're gonna try and go out there and do all sorts of different things because we like to enjoy different things as well and experience different things.
Absolutely.
Um, so that'll be one part of that. Another piece is challenges. So again, the idea of how can we influence and inspire people to get outside and get active. So we're going to be putting together some challenges. The first challenge will be coming up sometime this summer. We're finalizing the details on what that will look like, but definitely going to include some swag and things like that for those that complete. And the idea of these challenges is to get you out and to get you active more so than anything else, and to try new
Yeah,
things.
I think it's yeah
Um,
good that we'll have a lot of different kind of faces behind the challenges with you and me and some of our other coaches, because we'll have that variety and challenge as well, right? First challenge obviously might be something a little more specific, but over time the challenges will be kind of a mix up of a lot of different stuff, right? Hopefully people will be willing to try multiple different challenges instead of just like catering towards something they've done before, right? Like if there's a hiking challenge, right? Like I hope there are people willing to do this that have maybe never hiked before, not just our hikers. And like cycling, right? That's something that I would love to do, and try out, just so I can get a little taste of what you guys have talked about. And um, I feel like I got a little bit of a feeling of what like a mountain biking experience would be like. Yesterday while I was trail running, I got to a little area that was just ever so slightly downhill, and I was like, "Let's go fast. I'm gonna send it, dude. Just start running quick. Make sure your footing is good." Like, and I got this unbelievable rush where while I was running down, I just couldn't help. I screamed at the top of my lungs while I was running. I was like, "Woo!" I was having so much fun, and I was like, imagine being on a mountain bike going, 15 miles per hour faster than you're going right now, right? And then think about like something like you do where I'm going even faster than that. I'm like, whew, now I'm getting heart starting to flutter a little bit, starting to get to the edge of that comfort zone, right? And so I'm really excited that we're going to
yeah,
have
yeah,
the ability to have these challenges and have multiple different facets of it. And so it's not just something that I'm already comfortable with. And I'm going to be able to get pushed in a new way to try new things and might find something else that I really enjoy. And I think that's going to be really important
yeah,
for, a lot of people our age who are, maybe in my position where they're probably going to be losing their sport at the level they play pretty soon, right? I'm 29 years old. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to play, top level rugby. And so, I'm going to need these things these other fun activities, these other outdoor hobbies to kind of fill that space when I can't have that rugby anymore. And so I'm just really excited to be able to kind of try so many different stuff and um, push those boundaries a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what
Yeah.
that's all about, right? That's definitely what our intent was with those challenges. And then the last piece that we put in there is the ability for folks to actually sign up as a member of Escape Comfort Outdoors, in two different facets. Number one, hey, I just want to get some content and get some information and be connected to you guys. Maybe get some cool swag, get some discounts on the challenges and activities and things like that. And then even beyond that, hey, I want to grow and do a little bit more, and I need some additional help getting there. We also have a coaching tier where you can actually sign up to work with a coach. And John, you're going to be one of the ones leading that effort on the coaching side. And we have a couple other great coaches with us that are going to be able to help out
Yeah,
as
we
well.
got a couple great ladies that are part of the squad. Can't say good enough things about them. I'm excited to pick their brains and learn a lot more from them as I am with you, especially with all the leadership and mentorship stuff you've been learning over the last couple of years through Jocko and whatnot. It's a really unique, cool group of people, right? We're all very different but very similar, right? We've got so all different backgrounds. Some of our coaches are single moms, some of them are abroad. We got some gals that are in other countries, bilingual. I mean, it's going to be an unbelievable thing where we're going to be able to pick so many pieces from each other and probably, and I'm assuming from the people that we meet in this journey as well, right? Like there's going to be times where us as coaches are going to be challenged and we're going to be able to learn a lot from all of you guys. And I think that it's going to be a community that people are really going to be excited to be a part of because when it grows to what we want it to grow to, it's going to be a very special thing. I think that this is something that people will travel to from all corners of our country, maybe some other countries. We'll see how that goes. But I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be that community that people have been kind of yearning for. In terms, we probably won't have a category for every human being on this earth, right? We're trying to make it really focus on the outside, and that's not for everybody. But if that is something that you're interested in, we want to have that answer for you, and we want to help you get there. And I think that we have a really strong team of people to be able to really mix and match and cater to everybody's strengths.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely a wide range of
Yeah,
experiences, right? Like, don't get me anywhere near the water, but
yeah.
Liliana is
Ironman
a
champ, yeah. Woo.
triathlete, Ironman. Yeah.
And Jenna
So
likes to wear
yeah,
dresses
so
and get covered in mud and shocked by electric wires doing all that crazy stuff. I know you guys have done a little of that as well, but that's something that I'm excited to get into my first Spartan race, Tough Mudder, those types of things. Those will be cool. And hopefully we'll be able to, kind of create something similar to that, maybe not exact replica of something like that, but that's one of those many things that you can get outside and do, right? If that's your thing, man, I've always wanted to carry a 50-pound sandbag through the mud. I don't know a lot of people saying that, but hey, everybody's got their thing. And, we got someone for that, right? We got someone that can get you directly connected with that in a great way so that you have a positive first experience. Someone who's done hundreds of these races, right? Oh, you want to go play sports? Cool. I got you, man. I got connections all over the country with soccer, with football, with basketball, baseball, rugby. Oh, you want to get into these extreme sports? Cool. I got a guy, right? He's right here next to me. And just I'm telling you, the opportunities are endless. There's not really any bucket that
100%.
we can't dip our hand into, and get somebody to the next place that they need to get to start that thing that they want to start.
Yeah, awesome, love it. I think we're coming up on time here. Yeah. Anything else that any parting words or anything that we want to toss into the bucket as we wrap up here for this session? I think this was good. I think we
Dude,
got a lot
yeah, I
more that we can
think
talk about.
yeah, I
This
think
time
I
flew
think
by.
that just kind of getting on screen, getting comfortable being I mean, this is something in particular that's like it's a little uncomfortable, right? Like first time being on a screen talking, going to share this with
Yeah.
other people, right? Like who knows how people are going to receive something like this, right? But to just get in and get comfortable being uncomfortable, say kind of don't go by a script, right? These are the words that I have on my notes right here, right? I have 3 sentences, right? It's 3 sentences, just some things I want to talk about. But in all reality, it should be a nice conversation that doesn't seem like it needs to be pushed any particular way. We want it to kind of steer in a general direction where we're having fun on this conversation, right? And we get to talk about the things that we like doing. And as this evolves and it grows, we can have focuses, and we're going to plan on having focuses on these calls, right? Where we can provide you guys with the information specific that you're looking for, right? And so the more that we do these, the more we get to talk about. It's not always going to be about who we are and what we're trying to do, right? It might be totally random one day. It might be how is the best way to eat 5-star cuisine while you're not in a kitchen, right? Like, how are we going to do stuff like that, right? There's going to be a million things that we can talk about. And I really think that as this kind of grows and we tighten it to where it's crisp. My background is not covered in medical study material, all this kind of stuff, right? It's going to be something that I think that people will look for and be excited to see what we have coming out next. And as I get better at this, I'll try to be better about trimming my beard and looking good on camera and getting all this kind of stuff. But I think that I'm excited to really get into the nitty gritty and just let loose and talk about anything that we and the people want to talk about, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, this was awesome. So yeah, let's wrap up for this session. We'll come back around. I think there's probably a little bit more that we could talk through on this topic, but like you said, definitely diving into some other topics that are more specific. Whether it's talking gear, talking different activities or events,
Mm-hmm.
even perhaps. Like there's a lot of topics that we can cover to help people be able to connect more with the
Absolutely, man.
outdoors. So appreciate all you guys hopping on here, and hopefully lots of views of folks coming on, checking out what we've got. But feel free to shoot us a comment, shoot us a like if you got that. But definitely want to hear any comments, any feedback. What are the things that you'd like to hear? What would you like us to talk about? We're definitely going to have some folks join us at some points and get some other perspectives. You don't want to have to look at our two.
Yeah, you can only get so much red hair and red beard in one place, right? But yeah, y'all just get comfortable being
Absolutely.
uncomfortable and really just get comfortable and good with the idea of pushing these limits, right? Like we said, we're not gonna really start to release our first event until the summer, so you got a few months to prep and kind of get in the mindset. We're gonna be releasing a lot of information between now and then, so that you feel well prepared to attack and do something new like this. But yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. Check our website out, escapecomfortod.com. We'll be, keeping everything up to date on there so you guys can stay in the loop for everything that we're doing. We got cool merch on there as well. If you want to get some cool swag for your pups or for t-shirts, things like that, pop on there. We got a shop active there right now. You can get part of the original crew, the original items. So the items will change over time, and so you're gonna get some of the OG equipment right here if you go in and check it out now. So don't be afraid to pop in, sign up for a membership there.
For sure. Love it. Awesome, John. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get outside. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go run
we're
around. So
I got about six
you head
hours till
outside.
I got to drive to the airport, so we're gonna find some time to go up on the hill and make something happen with the fam right now.
There you go. Well, let's get outside, and we will talk to everyone soon.